This video is my reaction to the Seahawks 23-20 win in Arizona, courtesy of a clutch play by Jackson Smith-Njigba that I think will get talked about a lot, deservedly so. You know, when he dives out of bounds to preserve the timeout, 22-yard catch on the long left side from Sam Darnold. One that I think perhaps could go unnoticed, even though the announcers did mention it there at the end, is the really fighting, spinning, churning effort from Zach Charbonnet on the ensuing run with 18 seconds left. That 5-yard gain, actually I think it was 4 yards, but he almost got tackled like a yard behind the line of scrimmage. That one helped push the ball forward, just so Jason Myers' sliding 52-yard field goal would stay inside the right upright, and Seattle comes home with a 3-1 record. They now get, I think, a 10-day break or 9-day break before the home game with the Bucs, who are a very physical team that is 3-0 with a trio of really close, I think, come from behind wins as well. I thought Seattle's defense was in control for most of the night tonight, up until the point in time at which they take a 20-6 lead on Myers' 31-yard field goal with about 9.5 minutes left in the game. A storyline for this one, in my opinion, that should be talked about is the wasted opportunities to finish this Arizona team that didn't have a lot of fight early, I didn't think. Early in the game in the first half, Seattle had opportunities to create more separation, and then in the fourth quarter as well. We'll talk about a couple of them here. JSN's holding call on Max Melton, the corner for Arizona, the same guy he beat on that clutch 22-yard catch in the final minute, in fact. I thought Charbonnet's 8-yard touchdown should have stood up. I did not see a hold. Maybe he grabbed more jersey than I saw live. We did get one replay, and it was from behind the offense, so I could be wrong. It looked like Melton was kind of taking on JSN in a violent fashion, and JSN was almost kind of half-turned. So maybe the ref had a different angle version than we did. Charbonnet had bounced it outside the second time. Really beautiful run, I thought, by Charbonnet for what would have been an 8-yard touchdown and a 24-6 lead. They ended up settling for a field goal that kind of kept Arizona alive mathematically, but really at that point, you had to think pretty much that the game was over. Unfortunately for Seattle, similar to a game that I'll talk about in a couple of minutes from 2023 that Mike McDonald called defensive plays in Arizona, things nearly fell apart. Kyler Murray kind of heated up some, if you will, a bunch of short catches, converted some third downs and a fourth down. Maybe some different coverages were played by McDonald and Durde, but I thought they stayed aggressive. In fact, I thought they stayed really aggressive in two situations. First, talk about a 3rd and 8 with about 7.5 minutes left. Murray hits McBride over the middle. I think it's a zone coverage, and he's in between two defenders. And then he finds Marvin Harrison Jr. on like a pseudo jump ball over Devin Witherspoon. It's a slot fade, the touchdown, in fact, that pulls Arizona to within 20-13. I thought it was a nice ball from Murray. It's a good matchup from a size and explosiveness standpoint if you're getting the version of Marvin Harrison Jr. that we saw in the second half, not the one that we saw in the first. I thought Witherspoon contested it well, got his arms up, and was able to pull them within 20-13. We get to about 5 minutes left, and you get this beautiful throw from Darnold on Seattle's offense. Darnold finished 18 of 26, by the way, for 242 yards and 1 touchdown. Talking about the throw to JSN. It looked like Seattle's going to finish it here, right? JSN beats the corner on the right side. I think it's Melton. It's like a stutter go. And Darnold lays the ball out in front of him perfectly. I don't know about you, but when I saw the throw, that one to JSN along the right side, I thought it was high. Just off the release, I thought, that looks like it's lofted too high or perhaps going to be overthrown. Nope, perfect. JSN gathered it in before getting out of bounds. A 36-yard gain, and it got the Seahawks to the Cardinals' 38-yard line. But unfortunately, 3 consecutive runs could not move the ball closer. And then Myers had a 53-yarder sail wide right. I really didn't think that kick was close to holding the line at all. It seemed like to me about a third of the way there, you could tell that it was going to slide outside the right upright. And then I think you've got to give Kyler Murray some credit. He took Arizona downfield once again after the missed field goal that could have essentially salted the game away. There was a really fortunate catch by Michael Wilson on the 4th and 4. Seattle brought heavy pressure, and that left Josh Jobe on Wilson, pretty much one-on-one. I don't know that it was the glitch blitz, to be honest with you, but it was a floating throw from Murray. He was almost kind of fading back a little bit. and it somehow found Wilson's hand. I thought Wilson kind of blindly threw his hand up, but I only saw one replay, and I'm tracking or keeping stats during the game, so there's a possibility that I'm wrong there, just like the hold on JSN. But you have to give Wilson credit. He actually did catch the ball. That one pushes the ball just past midfield and clearly seemed to ignite the home crowd. I don't have a problem with that coverage. The one that did anger me, however, was the slot screen to Dortch. It seems like that's all Dortch catches from my observations. It's a 3rd and 9, and the Seahawks brought a lot of pressure. The announcers indicated that it was a 7-man blitz. I didn't think I saw that. That would be overkill, but in any case, it's a 3rd and 9. The ball is only at your 45, and you're up 7. I understand the thought process. Okay, we're going to stop them quick or give up a big play such that we get the ball back with enough time. I just feel like the chances are more in your favor to just get a stop. And to me, that seemed a little bit of, you opened yourself up. I'm talking about Mike McDonald and Durday calling the plays. You opened yourself up for the slot screen that was a play that had worked previously in the game. I've seen Dortch play a few times, and it appears to me that he gets a lot of screens and bubbles and maybe some design plays. I would like to make that guy beat you in man or at least some legitimate coverage. Anyway, 5 plays later, Harrison converts another slot fade. This one's on a 3rd and 5 from Seattle's 25. It's also against Witherspoon, and I believe it goes for a 17-yard gain along the left side. Two plays later, DeMarcado, the running back, is absolutely wide open in the left flats. Witherspoon makes an attempt to make the tackle, and they tie the game. I guess maybe at this point, the Cardinals might be second-guessing their decision not to go for 2, right? You have all the momentum. Harrison is surging. He was a totally different player in the second half. I think he caught 5 consecutive targets in a row leading up to the touchdown by DeMarcado. I might do a video on Harrison matching up with the Seahawks DBs if I get a chance over the next couple days. Perhaps the most important break or moment of the game in some ways is the ensuing kickoff, that it doesn't hit in the landing zone, which to me just seems like the most ridiculous rule. But in any case, it gives the Seahawks the ball at the 40. That's really all Darnold needed, was the one completion to JSN. It's a back shoulder throw to push the ball into Myers' range. I think you've got to talk about JSN and how smoothly he did that. Again, I've said this a couple of times before. He reminds me of Amon-Ra St. Brown so much, and that he just does everything perfectly. I know that you had the one fumble that's legitimate in week 1, the other one that really shouldn't be charged to him, the backwards lateral. That catch and then the ability to get out of bounds, that was amazing in my opinion, to have the wherewithal, the awareness, I guess, to get out of bounds, the body control, to not touch the ground, initially inbounds and make sure that the ball touches first. It was a great play. Charbonnet's run was a real bright spot here among a series or string of missed opportunities. Just so many that Seattle left on the field tonight, in my opinion. I really think the Seahawks could have won this game in the 28-13 range or even 31-13, something like that, with all the chances they had to build a bigger lead in the first half, and then the missed field goal by Myers, the Charbonnet touchdown that gets called back, right, for the hold on JSN, which may or may not actually be a legitimate call. So when Charbonnet makes that effort to get 4 yards instead of a possible loss, that was badass, man. I mean, and it gives Myers the chance to convert from a little bit closer. It stays inside the right upright. I thought it was moving there, but not as much as the previous kick. Seattle's now 3-1. They held pace with the 49ers, who play at home against the Jaguars this week before they get the quick turnaround, right? Thursday Night Football next week against the Rams on the road. So, one of those teams is going to get a loss. Tonight, Seattle clearly outplayed the Cardinals for most of the night. Offensively, outgained them significantly. Finishing the night 384 yards of offense compared to just 253 for Arizona. Seattle averaged 6 yards per play on the night and did gain 155 yards on the ground, led by Walker's 19 carries for 81 yards. There was, however, a number of times where Walker's hit at the line or maybe even in the backfield. He's kind of redirected off his path. I do wonder about 2 or 3 of his decisions, to be honest with you. As there's contact or something in front of him, he'll retreat. And he's a different running back than Charbonnet and other guys. I thought Arizona's defense played well in spurts, But they were fortunate to get out of there, they being the Cardinals, and not giving up 30 points, in my opinion. They gave up a number of big plays. JSN finished with the 4 catches for 79 yards, I think. Only 5 targets, maybe 6. I did like how Kubiak used him on those toss plays. The first of which was for 24 yards. I think it's in the third quarter. So on the night, JSN ends up with over 100 yards of offense. Kubiak's initial plan, man, of using so much 12 personnel, that worked like a charm. I'll probably try to cover that in some type of film study over, Friday or Saturday. I'm really not sure how Arizona's defense adjusted, meaning after they fell behind 14-3. I know that they did hold the Seahawks to 3 field goals thereafter. It could have easily been 2 field goals and a touchdown or 3 field goals and a touchdown. So even though the game ended up being a game-winning field goal for the Seahawks, I feel like the differential between these teams, at least tonight, was larger than that. But as a Seahawks fan, it's fine to have concern about the fact that, suddenly 2 drives by Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, produce 130 yards and score 2 touchdowns in the last 14 minutes. I guess Seattle is officially credited with a turnover on the fumble by Bryant, if I looked at the stats correctly. But in any case, despite that miscue, Seattle's defense, look, they put up 6 sacks. They got constant pressure up until maybe the last 2 drives, including a 2-sack performance from Uchenna Nwosu, which is a really cool thing to see. I thought he played downhill. I thought he played with a lot of force and was involved in some plays as well. So I definitely would like to do a video on him because I know it's been a long road back, and Seahawks fans would like to see him contribute, some return on their investment, if you will. It's really great to see Witherspoon and Julian Love back on the field. I think Witherspoon led the team in tackles with 9 or 10. Love had a really nice challenge on a ball to Trey McBride in the fourth quarter where he kind of elevates. He's not really close to an interception, but it was a really nice challenge, or contest, if you ask me. But then he could have clearly had a pick in the second quarter. It would have been the third in the first half for Kyler Murray. I would say that the concern for the Seahawks would obviously be the difference between, what through 3 quarters was a virtuoso defensive performance, right? They're, at the time, end of the third quarter, they're leading 17-6. Eventually that lead stretches to 20-6. However, in the final 2 possessions, Murray and the Cardinals, they run, I think, 20 plays overall, and they gain 130 yards there. So not great necessarily from a yards per play standpoint. I think it is 6.5. They did score 2 touchdowns. The hurry-up, all-out passing game, it did have some impact, right? And it was extremely, it was annoying to me because it was so reminiscent of a game from McDonald's last season in Baltimore when they came to Arizona. I think week 8, in fact. And the Ravens looked, you're not going to be familiar, of course, but I am because I remember the feeling. It was the same that you guys as Seahawks fans probably had tonight. The Ravens led 24-7 with 14 minutes left. Again, this is 2023, right? McDonald's last year there. And get this, they had stopped the Cardinals on 8 consecutive possessions. Eventually, the Cardinals are able to close to 31-24 in the fourth quarter. I think Josh Dobbs is playing quarterback, in fact. And Arizona goes touchdown, field goal in the fourth quarter, including the field goal with 24 seconds left that gives them a chance to onside kick and get the ball back down 7. It was maddening as a Ravens fan. Thankfully, the onside kick settled into the hands of, I believe it was Nelson Aguilar. But so this game tonight, obviously rooting for the Seahawks was really eerie for me to watch because I thought Seattle controlled the first half. Darnold finished 8 of 10, I'm talking about in the first half, for 123 yards and 1 touchdown. The touchdown was to A.J. Barner in the first quarter. Seattle's defense, man, was rock solid. They held Arizona to 3.4 yards per play in the first half. Kyler Murray, to that point, was 12 of 19 passing, and he had 2 picks. And it easily could have been 3. Like I said, Julian Love jumped in front of an in-cut by Trey McBride in the second quarter, unfortunately unable to corral it. The Seahawks had 2 sacks at the half. They added 4 more in the second half. Leonard Williams was playing downhill, and they limited the Cardinals to 94 yards of offense in the first half, including only 34 yards rushing on 8 carries. It just seemed like Murray wasn't in rhythm. Him and Harrison, it was like they took turns pouting about one another. A very weird dynamic there. And then, that dynamic held through the third quarter, and things took a drastic turn in the fourth. I like to read out some of my first half notes, and then I will review one or perhaps two possessions here where I basically just show the data that I track. Like, for example, this is the 5th possession. I'll come back to that here in a moment. But I'm going to read out some of my thoughts from the first half. I thought Woolen and Job had been making Harrison compete into the boundary. And I might like to do a film study on that matchup between Woolen and those two. Harrison and those two guys. The home crowd was booing him. I thought it was pretty obvious. And in fact, they were really upset after Darnold directed that 7-play, 90-yard drive to take a 14-3 lead, the one that I'm going to talk about in a moment. It was mostly 12 personnel involved. It really put Arizona in a bind, meaning they couldn't defend the run and the pass effectively with various alignments. Having said all that, the first half stats portrayed a one-side game. The overall stats through four quarters did as well. Seattle left a lot of food on the table. Bryant has the interception in the first quarter when Harrison kind of stops competing on a route over the middle. And it would have set up Seattle with great field position, but then Bryant fumbles. I think he collides with Knight. I know it was a teammate. I wondered for a moment live if he was down, if he was pushed, but it was ruled that he was not. And so Arizona got the ball back, and they capitalized. They cashed it in for a 3-0 lead. Then the Seahawks don't do anything on offense. They get another pick, this one by Jones, his second one of the year. And that sets up Darnold and company. They were able to get inside the Cardinals 30, and a missed opportunity and a frustrating one is Kenneth Walker III. There's a 2nd and 6 run around the left side, and it would have created like a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 2, talking about in the second quarter. And Clark, the Cardinals safety, makes a tackle, and then he briefly grabs Walker's leg or his foot or something. I didn't think it was too egregious, but it pissed off Walker because he responded by first pointing the ball at Clark and then throwing the ball in his direction. So he got a 15-yarder, pushed him out of field goal range. And then you had Calais Campbell is timeless at this point. He makes a tackle for loss on a screen to Charbonnet, and the Seahawks had to punt when they were just inside the 30. I think they're at the 28. A wasted opportunity, in my opinion. The interception, the 2 interception, then the field goal. The second interception, then the field goal position after the short run by Walker is just wasted. Defense was a rock, though, and Murray had, on the ensuing possession, checked into a 3rd and 2 run play that seemed to draw the ire of the home crowd. They seemed upset by that. It was from his own 28. There's multiple D linemen there for Seattle. I think it's Jaron Reed and Boye Mafe. Mafe was very active. He didn't get a sack, but he was active. I thought he had multiple QB pressures. Home crowd's booing as they go to punt. And then Kubiak's offense puts together a really nice drive that I want to show some of the details of that I track live. Try to track as much of this as possible, specifically for Seattle's offense, the Ravens' offense, and Lions' offense when they play. So just big plays to begin here, man. Darnold finds Arroyo up the right side. I think the 12 personnel kind of forced Arizona to maybe be in some heavier looks than they wanted to be. I might be wrong because they play a really weird defense at times. It's like a 5-1 look, and I think it's been sound and been exploited. I don't think it's been sound, and it has been easy to exploit at times for certain teams. But Josh Sweat stays with Arroyo up the right side, and Darnold has the confidence to throw him the ball, man. I think Darnold is distributing the ball to a wide array of guys, and he's got confidence in everyone. I think he's playing with a high degree of confidence and executing, exactly the way that Clint Kubiak wants him to. Then the play action, and Darnold takes off. It's man out of 12 personnel once again. He gets, I think, 24 or 25 yards. There it is, 24 yards. The second play from the top here. And then the third one is a toss to Charbonnet. I want to do a video on that pin pull that they've been using. They used it to great effect against the Saints last week. Run game gets slowed down a little bit. Charbonnet up the middle, nothing there. Kind of everything's collapsed or stacked up on the inside. Then 16 yards to Arroyo because of a defensive pass interference penalty. It was on Budda Baker. To me, I think Arroyo catches that ball if there's not a DPI. Just the way that he looked under control going after the ball despite the intercept or interference by Baker. You're welcome to let me know if you disagree, but it looked to me like Arroyo took some steps forward this week and played pretty well tonight. And finally, Charbonnet's second effort gets in, courtesy of a little bit of a push from Lucas. and they take a 14-3 lead. I will talk about the sixth possession as well that puts them up 17-3. This one, of course, occurs in the third quarter. I'll start at the bottom first. I was kind of surprised that Charbonnet was able to get 9 yards on this 3rd and 11, and I wondered if Seattle would maybe go for it. But I think it was the right choice for McDonald to say, okay, we're just going to take points because the defense is playing really well to that point. Unfortunately, you had 2 possessions in a row in the fourth quarter where Kyler Murray's able to get the ball moved downfield. Marvin Harrison Jr. started playing to his talent level a little bit if you want. But this is the third quarter, and what I like here is it's the opening possession. JSN, great design. He didn't have a catch, didn't have a target in the first half, in fact. And Kubiak comes right out and tosses the ball to him for 10 yards on the 2nd and 11. Second play. I thought the 1st and 10 play was a little bit impatient, the play action. But I get it. It's what Kubiak's going for. The run concepts and then the play action that looks similar or exactly the same. In this case, Sweat got a forced fumble. Actually, Barner recovered it. I have it noted that an offensive lineman recovered it. But in any case, the 3rd and 1, the jet rollout to his left. Man, Darnold is eating people up on play action boot, or in this case, a rollout to his left. Just throwing the ball with exceptional accuracy to his left. Ended up getting 10 yards. I really love the design on that play. I'm talking about the 3rd and 1, third play from the top for you guys. Walker tries to bounce it outside again. That happened multiple times. They convert a 3rd and 2 on a really cool play to Charbonnet. I can't wait to take a look at this one. It's a 3rd and 2 from Arizona's 39-yard line. And it's a reverse pivot, like a downhill run concept. Charbonnet kind of slides to the right a little bit, gets 4 yards. And then finally they get down here, and the pinpole pitch doesn't really net them much on the 2nd and 15. And then the 3rd and 11, Darnold kind of settles for, or gets the ball out quickly, to Charbonnet, to the trips, to the wide side, and he gets 9 yards. 17-3, you kind of hope or think that that'll be enough. At that point, it ended up being 20-6. I'm not worried necessarily about McDonald and Durday blowing leads like the Ravens have, to be honest with you. I think they're playing really well. Maybe they coasted here to the end a little bit, but I think the real thing to focus on is the wasted opportunities in the first half and even in the second half to kind of put this Arizona team away. I get it. The announcers wanted us to keep watching, right? So, of course, they're going to talk up Arizona's defense a little bit. I get it. They're missing Will Johnson. They're missing some other talented guys, so I understand. I'm actually super interested to see some Will Johnson film, later on in the year when they play Seattle or in the offseason if I get more time, because I root for the guy. I hope he plays well. I thought he had a great career at Michigan, and he's got tremendous talent. But having said that, I don't think this Arizona team is that talented right now. And I feel like Seattle played above them for 3 quarters and then cratered or dropped, down below Arizona's level. And it's fine if you don't have the same opinion and you're not feeling as harsh as I am. I'd like to see Seattle really dominate, this team the next time they play them. They opened up, I thought, with some great stuff offensively. Maybe went conservative with the 53-yard field goal that sailed wide right. I'm talking about the one that Myers missed. But other than that, I really liked most of the decisions that were made. I'm not a huge fan of the all-out blitz on the 4th and 4, leaving Job over there all alone. Wilson happens to throw his hand up and catch the football. Whether he saw it or not, I'm not sure. But other than that, I was pleased with what the coaches did for Seattle's players. And I think the offensive line didn't get to their ceiling tonight. They didn't play to their true potential, to what we think that they can do when things are sharp, when things are... Sorry, I had some mic issues. I think that the offensive line probably needs a look for myself to just see if there's anything I can pick up on. I thought Zabel had 2 reps where the defensive tackles gave him real trouble, kind of drove him in the backfield. The announcers actually highlighted one of them. I really like the pinpole pitch play where Cross or Lucas as the tackle is stepping to the outside, looping around a pin down block because they're doing it out of 11 personnel. And it's a great threat. It's in my opinion, make the corner have to maybe make a tackle on a running back. So I would like to take a look at that concept and get a deeper dive on it once the All-22 film comes out. If you guys enjoyed my video, please let me know in the comment section. My reaction videos, I typically like to talk about the stats, the gameplay, the flow of the gameplay. To me, in this game here, you're talking about a Seahawks team that outplayed Arizona 65-35 in terms of a ratio throughout most of the game. And then that switched or flipped dramatically, right? In the fourth quarter, Arizona had some fortunate situations, if you ask me, where they were things that occurred in their favor that allowed them to maintain possession of the ball, go and get two touchdowns, and then Seattle wins it on the game-winning field goal. A win is a win in the NFL, particularly on a Thursday night, so I get it. Other people won't be as harsh or point to the earlier missteps because it's difficult to travel on the road on a Thursday night. You get a win, you get a long week and a half rest. I'm really looking forward to the All-22 film coming out. You guys have any video suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comment section, number one. Number two, if you think there's any dynamic or element to the game that I missed in this breakdown that I'm talking about, you can also let me know in the comment section. No worries there. And then finally, if you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy my reaction to their 23-20 win over the Cardinals with some of my thoughts and the things that I think that Seattle left food on the table, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.